Today we're going to talk about how to protect and how to store your comic books. Hey, what's going on everybody? This is Jesse here with JLSComics. Welcome back to another video. This is another installment in my how-to series. So today, as I just said, we're going to talk about how to protect and how to store your comic books. Let's get right into it. First thing is there's some common elements. I mean, these are collectibles that we're collecting. So there's some common elements that we need to be cognizant of to maintain their collectability and their quality. Some common things to look for in terms of damage would be mishandling of the books, moisture, which could lead to mold and mildew, sunlight and the UV damage there, and acid as well, acidity. So the first that I mentioned was mishandling. You want to take the book and you want to kind of read it gently. You know, you don't want to be throwing it around, banging it, getting water or drinks on it, spilling food on it. Just be respectful of the book, really. I like to read it like this and hold the spine. That way, you know, you see it on some books, there's some color breaking on the spine. That's from opening it really flat. You know, and just read it nicely like that. Another one is moisture. There's ways to protect from moisture, which would be with bags, and I have a couple here. One of the common types of bags is a poly bag, it's called. This is made by BCW, and it's called a poly bag because it is a polypropylene, which is a synthetic resin that's built up by the polymerization of propylene into a thermoplastic polymer, which is the polypropylene. There are different sizes. It may say current or modern, silver, golden, magazine. You want to get the size that is most appropriate for the books that you have. 2 mil indicates the thickness, and these particular sleeves, let's call them, have a resealable thin strip on the back. Some people don't like those. I do. Instead, people like to use tape for that, but I like these resealable ones. So, mishandling. The next part is actually the backing boards. So we're kind of piecing this together. Okay, these are also made by BCW, and these say current on them. You want to get the ones that are acid-free. A lot of them say acid-free and they're acid on one side. There's a company called Gerber that makes Mylar, which I'm going to talk about in a second. They have acid-free on both sides of these. So these are right here, certified acid-free. Okay. So the Mylar is basically an archival polyester, which means there's no additives or solvents, no plasticizers, no antioxidants in it. It is much stronger than the polypropylene. It is more expensive. It's basically it's a biaxially extruded polyester, which means that biaxially, so 2 axles. It's actually stretched in 2 different ways for the strengths. It resists a lot of things like gases, smokes. It's a lot stronger. It's about 300% stronger than the polypropylene bags. So that is Mylar, the Mylites. That's not gonna stay right there, is it? And actually, the Library of Congress uses the Mylar along with a couple other things. So there's very few approved polymers and archival materials that they use for protection of our national documents. So the next thing, you know, in terms of mishandling when you're putting things into the bags is how to put it into the bag. One of the things that can happen quite frequently is damage, blunting, and dings on the corners. This is a thick book actually. So the way I do it is I start not with this corner, because that's how it can get damaged, but with this corner actually. You just get one going in there. Just be careful with it. And it slides, even though it's a thick book, it should slide right in. See that? And I already took off the back. You want to make sure that the air and stuff is out of it because it can, if there's a pocket of air in there, slide around and give it a little press. Press the air out. And then I seal it up. See? Okay, and then once you get these all bagged and boarded, is what we call it, you can actually use one of these. But before I get into that, there's another element to this. This is called a top loader, which, as the name indicates, loads from the top. These are actually made out of a thing called polyvinyl chloride, which you might know as PVC. But the PVC that has some acidity in it is another synthetic polymer. It's actually the third most used synthetic plastic after polypropylene and polyethylene. But I don't want to bore you with that. It is a lot more rigid, but it can break down the paper and stuff due to the acidity in it. So what I do and what I recommend is actually bag and board first if you want to use these, and slide that into the top loader. See, so it is not only protected from the damage and everything, but it's actually protected from the sleeve itself. So there you go. And then the third, there's another thing that people do, and this will be for another video, but I will mention it just so that it's here, is actually encapsulate in a slab. There's a few main companies. The top three that do it would be the Certified Guarantee Company, CGC, the Comic Book Certification Service, CBCS, or the Professional Grading Experts. They use the X for PGX. The interior chamber of that is made out of Barracks, which is something else that the Library of Congress uses. That does help with protection of the book. It sort of freezes it in time. They grade it, they encapsulate it. There's UV protection there and everything. So it's very good in terms of protecting the book over the lifetime of the book, which should last much longer than we last. All right, so now that you've got them into their slabs or their top loaders or their bags and boards, now you want to put them into a box. Typically we use these. This is a short box because it's short. And we also have a long box, which I don't have here, but imagine this about twice as long. It is a long box, all right? Protect, store, display. It helps keep the light off of them. It helps keep them protected from further damage. You can see here, there are a bunch in there, all right? One thing, a little tip that I have for you. All right, I'm gonna take some of these out actually. Let me show you something. Let's take these out. Okay, so say you have a box, since we're just starting out, right? You don't have the full box. They can slide around and get bent or whatever. So if you want a quick little bookend type of a tip, take some of them, okay? Oops, see how they bend? Okay. Take some of them and turn them, and then look, they don't move around. It's like your own little bookend, right? So then once you get it filled up, you can turn them, but at least this way, you don't have them sliding around in there getting bent. It kind of holds them in place, so there you go. Put that down. Okay, so then put them away someplace safe, out of the sunlight. Putting them out on the bookshelf and stuff is cool, but they will damage and fade the colors and the paper over time. I keep mine in the closet, in the light, in their own little area, so they are protected there. Other people like to, use some of the magazine storage things, which I think are great, display-wise, but that wouldn't be for a large collection because you would need a lot of them. All right, so then the next thing we want to talk about is how to organize. So there's a couple components to this that I like to talk about. When I organize my books, I break them up by the company, so Marvel, DC, and then I have my independent books. So we're talking about Boom, Dynamite, Black Mask, Image. There's a whole bunch of other ones that would fall into that category. So I take, say, my DC books, and I alphabetize them by title, starting with the A's, of course. And then within each title, I go by volume, and then in each volume, they are numerically ordered. So 1 through 10, volume 1 is going to be in front of 1 through 10 of volume 2, and so on and so forth. And I keep all the one-shots and the mini-series behind all the main volume stuff, so I break that down that way. And it's a pretty good system. It allows me to break it out, if I need to, sort of modular in that way. And then I also keep my books cataloged online. They are all on a particular website that I like called comicbookdb.com. There's another one that people like called CLZ.com that I hear is very popular. So, try them both out, see which one works for you the best, and take it from there. But it allows you to have your entire collection, cataloged, stored, easily accessible, easily searchable. I can look at everything from, I want to look up all the Spider-Man books, or I want to find out all the books that I have by J. Scott Campbell, for example. I can search by that. And then what I'll do is, there's a note section, so I can make a note about the box, where it is, and if I want to, hey, there's that book, I want to find out where it is, I can go to the note section and find out which box I have it in. So it makes it pretty easily accessible that way. And then also, if you're going to your local comic shop, or if you are at a convention, for example, you have it all right there at your fingertips. It's mobile and it's accessible, and you can get to it really quickly. So there you go. I would make it, talk about some more about, the encapsulation and slabbing, but I think that warrants a video in and of itself. So here's a couple quick tips for you. Hope you like these. Let me know what works for you, what doesn't. If you have additional tips you'd like to add, feel free to put them down in the comments below, both for me or for the other viewers. And I will be back next week with another video, another how-to. If you have any things that you would like to know how to do as it relates to comics and comic book collecting, let me know, and we can definitely figure out when would be a good time to make a video for that. But in the meantime, don't forget to leave those comments we talked about down below, share this, and if you haven't already done so, go ahead and subscribe. Alright, so this is Jesse with JLSComics, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.